My name is Timothy Bingham, and the condition that I was working on was anxiety disorder. Um, I had a career as a lawyer. I have a family, two children, so I led a more or less normal life, but I had a constant anxiety level, which occasionally incapacitated me. I started the anxiety around college years, and it before that I had a difficult but more or less normal childhood. But then in law school, I went to Yale Law School. It got the anxiety got very bad, and I started with psychoanalysis. That didn't work, um, and I've tried all kinds of other treatments, bioenergetics, um, core energetics. Uh, I tried the electroconvulsive treatments, ECTs, um, and then I went on medication, antidepressant medications of various kinds. Nothing seemed to work except to cover some of the symptoms. One of the psychiatrists I saw early on suggested that this was probably genetically based, and I was a patient who I considered hard to treat. That's why I was put into ECTs, which was probably in retrospect a mistake because it wiped out my memory, and then I had to relearn the law. um, and finally, when I ended up going on medication, implicit in going on medication was the idea that you can't change these problems, but you can deal with the symptoms. And that's what the medication does. It just helps with the symptoms. It doesn't get at the cause. And I kept thinking, I want to get at the cause. I have a lot of anxiety disorder and depression in my family. My son has anxiety depression. I have one of my five grandsons has it. Um, so it seemed to be going through the family line. And I wanted to end it with me. I think it hurt my kids. My daughter, who said that she found it very difficult to have a dad who was severely anxious and depressed, and she had to work through that. My son has a similar condition, and he found it difficult. My wife has been very supportive, but she found it very difficult to work with. And in the law firm, when I had to go on leave, medical leave, particularly with the ECTs, they stuck with me until at the end they more or less told me I should leave after I'd been practicing for 29 years. So it did affect my relationships. I did the best I could. I fought against it, and I don't believe it's proper to kill oneself, but I felt bad enough at times to kill myself. And I eventually ended up with a life coach who suggested at one point I try DNRS, and that was like 2 years ago. I was desperate to find something, and jumped right in, got the computer program, learned the steps. I did it an hour a day, although I found that a difficult commitment, that much time, but I wanted to get better. Um, and then when I was up to a year, I thought I'd be magically cured. I wasn't. So I kept going. And it wasn't until about a month ago that I joined a DNRS support group, and the group leader suggested that I get back doing the DNRS steps. So I started that up again. after not having done it since 12 months had passed. And I found I started noticing changes. Um, my mood was better. And my life coach thinks that the DNRS is helping greatly. My wife thinks I'm much better. Um, I'm better with people. I'm better with my kids. The biggest change was I found that I could actually change. That the problems were not etched in stone. That if I applied the techniques, I could make changes in my life, and people around me noticed it. I was more sociable. I was better at family gatherings. And then within the last month, I've had a number of changes. Thank God. I'm sleeping better. Mood is elevated better. My feelings toward my dad, which had been problematic, are better. Um, and I'm back doing at least one full round a day. And as soon as I wake up, I do it in my head as I get going. Um, so I'm more hopeful now than I've been in the 2 years since I started the program. And I look forward to going from 75% better to 100%, even though I'm 81 years old. And some people would say too old to change, but can't teach an old dog new tricks. But I don't believe that. I believe the mind can be rewired and things can change. Thank God.